Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Literary Criticism, English 454. We have been discussing Samuel Johnson previously, and we have discussed whatever Samuel Johnson had to say about Milton and whatever he had to say about Paradise Lost. So today we have to start with another poem of Milton, that is Paradise Regained. It is considered a sequel to Paradise Lost, but it does not have the same kind of fame that Paradise Lost had. Previously, in the last lecture, we have discussed whatever the faults Samuel Johnson had found in the poem of Milton, that is especially Paradise Lost. तो सबसे बड़ी गलती जो उसने मिल्टन में निकाली है, ये जो सबसे बड़ी गलती उसको फील होती है, in spite of the fact that he says that in order to honor England we need to honor Milton as well, and he believed that de-honoring Milton or to finding fault with Milton would be like, blemishing the honor of England. He feels so greatly about Milton, but even then he says that it's such a great work that you have to handle it with so much care, and while you're handling it with so much care, there's certain things that pinch you, certain things that you would like not to be there, certain things that you like to ignore, but they just come and look at you and you have to point them out. तो पहला issue जो उसका ये है कि there's nothing new in it actually. अब जो उसका problem है वो ये है कि मिल्टन ने जो subject matter choose किया था कि it was too great, it was too lofty, जो word हमने use किया है एक दो lectures में, gigantic loftiness. The subject matter had this gigantic loftiness about it, ठीक है? It was big and it was noble as well at the same time. Angels की बात है, God की बात है, Satan की बात है. इन सारी चीज़ों में you can't ignore loftiness, ठीक है? So जब subject matter इतना ज़्यादा वो था, lofty था, तो मिल्टन के लिए उसको handle करना मुश्किल बिल्कुल नहीं रहा, because आपने देखा कि he has done what an epic poet should do. He has brought together all his faculties, everything that he knew in his life, everything that was a part of him, uska sara knowledge, uski sari study, his imagination, his sublimity, everything was put together in the form of one epic poem, ठीक है? लेकिन इसमें जो fault आता है वो ये आता है कि this story that Milton has told us, this is not something new. This is something that we have heard since we were little babies, right? It was a part of the scripture. He has borrowed from the scripture, though he has added so much to it. He has versified it, he has added so much variety in it, he had branched it off in so many directions, he had extended it in so much that it's not the same thing anymore. But even then, it was something that already know. It was something that's part of your familiar conversation. It's something that you grow up talking about. It's something that you drop off in your conversations very casually. You do not even think about them, about these things. So he says when it is something so such a common known fact, such a common known story, so it does not give rise to the feeling of the shock. You do not feel the shock or the terror that you should feel. It does not provide you with the anticipation, does not provide with you pleasure, it does not provide you with the excitement. Why? Because there is that action missing. क्योंकि आपको पता है कि action क्या है, probability आपको पता है कि Adam की fall होगी, Satan क्या करेगा. तो वो जो anticipation होनी चाहिए थी इस case में, वो this poem it lacks it, ठीक है? You do not feel with Adam, you do not feel with Eve, you do not feel with Saturn for that matter. अब आपको पता है, I have already mentioned it, कि ये this battle between good and evil is part of our everyday life. It happens to us every day, day in, day out. But even then, we have never been in the place of Adam and Eve. We were never in the state of innocence, which is focused on so much here, in this case at least. And we have never lived in paradise. We do not know what this all is about. We have never directly conversed with God, and we have never conversed with the archangels. We have not been tempted by Satan himself. Okay? We have our friends among the we have our friends among the blessed souls. We have our enemies among the rebels as well, the evil spirits. But even then, we feel it very hard to sympathize with what Adam and Eve went through. We understand that of course you are tempted, and we understand that you can be you can give into temptation and you can be weak at moments, and then that can cause a downfall. But we do not feel the same kind of sympathy because we have never been in that state. अच्छा, फिर इसमें जो तीसरी चीज़ है वो उसकी लैंग्वेज का इशू आता है कि उसने मिल्टन ने कैसी लैंग्वेज इस्तेमाल की कि it was you know, uska, it was not his fault. The thing is that he was dealing with higher beings, things that you have never observed in your life. Okay? You've never seen how angels converse with each other. We do not know how angels would converse with God. Okay? So we don't know these things. So he had to imagine these things. So that is why there are certain faults that are there. Ki jab, he's talking about when Adam and Raphael, they're having a discussion, and Adam, you know, he's being cheeky and he's answering back, and when he has been reprimanded that you should not be that curious, he is being cheeky. The answer he gives is a little inappropriate. So Adam has never observed another man, has he? He's the first man and there's no other man present. And similarly, Raphael and Adam has a different kind of a relationship. There should be, you know, reverence and everything. But jo answer wo deta hai, it's not that of a person who's very innocent. It's that of a person who's very cheeky. So ये जो language उसने डाली है इस case में, for example, it's not appropriate in this case at least. अच्छा, फिर जो एक और इशू आता है वो ये है कि जो सब्जेक्ट मैटर था जब हमने डिस्कस किया कि इट वाज सो ग्रेट, इट वाज सो नोबल दैट वी डू नॉट सिंपथाइज विद इट एंड वी डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड इट. और फिर ये कि द पर्पस ऑफ पोइट्री वाज टू क्रिएट प्लेजर एंड टू क्रिएट टेरर. ठीक है, बट द प्लेजर शुड बी सो दैट योर माइंड्स कुड कंसीव इट. ठीक है, वो उस प्लेजर की बात करें जो हमें समझ आ ही नहीं सकता, विच वी कैन नेवर अंडरस्टैंड. इट्स समथिंग दैट इज आउट ऑफ ऑर्डिनरी, समथिंग दैट वी हैव नेवर एक्सपीरियंस्ड इन आवर लाइफ. ठीक है, सिमिलरली द काइंड ऑफ टेरर दे पोर्ट्रेइंग, द काइंड ऑफ टेरर दैट एडम मस्ट हैव फेल्ट, और द काइंड ऑफ टेरर दैट सैटर्न मस्ट हैव फेल्ट, और सैटर्न मस्ट हैव कॉज्ड इन द अदर एंजल्स, वी कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड दैट. आवर माइंड्स कैन नॉट कॉम्बैट विद दैट काइंड ऑफ टेरर. सो यहाँ पे मिल्टन की फेलिंग आती है कि ही इज पोर्ट्रेइंग द काइंड of emotions that human mind is unable to understand because the human mind has never been put into that situation. ठीक है. अच्छा, फिर एक और fault जो कि बहुत obvious है मिल्टन की Paradise Lost में, it is that he seems a little confused. He makes these sudden shifts between the spirits and the material bodies. Spirit और matter के दरमियान वो confused रहता है. उसको समझ नहीं आती कि जो agency of spirits है उसको कैसे रखना है, उसको material form में रखना है कि वो spirit form में रहेंगे. So this is the mistake that he makes several times. He keeps on shifting. He believes, as a Christian, he believes that spirits are pure spirit. उस form में है, वो spiritual spirit form में है. They're not matter. They're not something that you can touch and feel. And if you can't touch and feel them, they can't either touch and feel anything. This is his philosophy, this is his religion. ठीक है, but he has mixed it with poetry. जब वो poetry कर रहा है तो अगर वो ये qualities, जो physical attributes हैं, ये इन चीज़ों को दे देता, decide कर लेता for once and for all that angels are going to be solid in his poem, then he would have been able to defend it. But उसने ये decision लिया ही नहीं, and he kept on shifting. Sometimes they were spirit and sometimes they were matter. So this creates a perplexity in the poem. When Satan, he can walk and he can hold this lance in his hand. He can, you know, walk on this bridge that has been made from hell to earth. He can, you know, when he was being sucked into the vacuum while he was crossing over from hell to earth, he was pushed up by a rising fountain of vapors. It means he had some kind of body जिसको वो vapors ऊपर लेके चले गए इससे पहले कि वो नीचे चला जाता. इसी तरह जब he enters paradise and he takes the form of a toad. So अब उसने toad को animate कर लिया, toad के अंदर घुस गया, उसकी शक्ल इख्तियार कर ली. तो it means that he was inanimate, it means that he was spirit. But इसी toad में से निकल के जब वो गैब्रियल के सामने लड़ाई करने के लिए खड़ा हुआ है तो उसके हाथ में एक spear भी है और उसके हाथ में एक shield भी है. So if he was spirit, how come he got into the, if he was not spirit, how come he got into the toad? And if he was spirit and he got into the toad, how did he get out with a spear and a shield? So he gets confused totally. जिस तरह उसने कहा कि sin and death to children of Satan, sin is the mother of death. So okay, fine. So many times in poetry we have seen these physical attributes or these physical qualities or these qualities or these things, these ideas, these abstract ideas being personified. But वो वहीं तक बात रहती है. आप allegory बनाते हैं लेकिन आप allegory वहीं पे छोड़ देते हैं. If the sin and death are working so that they're creating a bridge, ठीक है, constructing a bridge made of cement सीमेंट मोटर डाल के और पूरा कंक्रीट का इतना बड़ा ब्रिज बना रहे हैं सेटन के लिए, तो ये एलेगरी को थोड़ा ज्यादा फार फेच हो गई है, ठीक है, और ये एलेगरी खत्म हो जाती है फिर यहाँ पे. तो दिस इज हाउ ही इज क्रिएटिंग अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर हिमसेल्फ है. ही इज नॉट कंसिस्टेंट एज फार एज दिस discussion between physical form and the spiritual form is concerned. तो यहाँ भी इससे बार बार ये गलती होती है. फिर उसके बाद Samuel Johnson believes that Milton की diction में भी थोड़ा सा issue है. He has been a little too harsh and he used little too flowery a language. So इसी वजह से वो कहता है कि आपने कि मिल्टन ने जो सेंटिमेंट्स दिए हैं, ठीक है, वो दे वेरी जस्ट, बट समटाइम्स स्टेट ऑफ इनोसेंस को जैसे डिस्क्राइब किया, उसने स्टेट ऑफ इनोसेंस के सेंटिमेंट्स इतने अप्रोप्रिएट नहीं है, इतने एक्यूरेट नहीं है, बिकॉज इट इज़ डिफिकल्ट टू फाइंड सेंटिमेंट्स फॉर स्टेट ऑफ इनोसेंस एज इफ वी हैव नेवर बीन इन दैट स्टेट ऑफ इनोसेंस. बट ओवरऑल ही हैज़ ऑल प्रेजेस फॉर पैराडाइज लॉस्ट. सो ही मूव्स ऑन टू पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड. पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड इज द स्टोरी ऑफ जीसस, basically how he redeems the mankind by giving himself, by sacrificing himself for the goodness of the entire mankind. So he did that. इसको इतनी extraordinary story नहीं थी. जब ये publish हुई थी तो इसके साथ एक और story भी publish हुई थी, Samson Agonistus, ठीक है. So Paradise Lost को इतनी fame नहीं मिली थी जितनी Samson Agonistus को मिल गई थी. So we move on to Paradise Regained. There's nothing much in the story, and of Paradise Regained, the general judgment seems to be right, that it is in many parts elegant and everywhere instructive. Too instructive. Paradise Lost के बारे में जब मिल्टन कहता है, वो कहता है, सैमुअल जॉनसन कहता है कि we think we want to read Paradise Lost, ठीक है, we believe that we should read Paradise Lost, but the thing is that we find that we start with it, we enjoy it, but when we put that book down, we forgot to take it up. ठीक है, we forgot to take it up, and we do not remember कि we have to continue with it. It's not that kind of a book which would hook you up. जैसे वो कहता है कि it is like the kind of book which no one would expect to be longer because it's a little too instructive. We like the philosophy that Milton is presenting, we like the story that he is presenting, but we cannot expect it to be any longer. We do not want it to be any longer. The same thing happens when you he says that reading Milton, especially Paradise Lost, is an enjoyable experience, but it is an instructive experience as well. You like reading it when you want to be instructed, ठीक है, जब आप कुछ सीखना चाह रहे हो, because it's a discussion in philosophy as well. But when you want pleasure, you're going to return to your companions. आप फिर वो books पढ़ेंगे जो कि आपको pleasure देंगी, जिनके लिए आपको इतना ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं पड़ेगा, because उसकी diction, language, rhyme, meter, the choice of words, everything is so heavy. It's so cumbersome for you to read, to continue to read. You will get tired because it takes, the power of energy of mind to read a poem like Paradise Lost. It's not light reading कि आप बैठे और हाथ में चाय का कप पकड़ा और आप Paradise Lost खत्म कर लेंगे. तो it's sort of impossible for you to do. पैराडाइज रीगेन के बारे में भी सैमुअल जॉनसन का यही ख्याल है, एंड ही सेज कि ज़्यादातर लोगों का यही ख्याल है कि पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड इज it's in many parts elegant, ठीक है, it's elegantly written. Elegance is style of Milton. You cannot deny him elegance. He writes elegantly. उसका style जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा चूँकि classics से मिलता है, तो classic writers को follow करता है, इसलिए उसके style में elegance तो है ही, subtlety तो है नहीं, क्योंकि he believes in this gigantic loftiness, but elegance is there. And he's everywhere instructive. कुछ पार्ट्स में वो एलिगेंट है, कुछ पार्ट्स वो पसंद आते हैं, उसके आप पढ़ें तो आपको लगता है कि हाँ बहुत अच्छी लैंग्वेज इस्तेमाल हुई है, बट इट्स everywhere it's instructive. This being instruction being cannot say कि instruction कहीं कहीं पे हो रही है, बल्कि instruction हर जगह पे हो रही है, हर जगह पे learning है, हर जगह पे morality है. It has been written to teach something. It was not to be supposed that the writer of Paradise Lost could ever write without great effusions of fancy and exalted precepts of wisdom. You expect it from the writer of Paradise Lost. जब आपने Paradise Lost पढ़ी तो आपको पता चल गया कि he would give you some rules of wisdom. He would give you these effusions of fancy. उसकी fancy जो चीज़ produce करेगी, it would bubble out of him. It would come out of him. You see it. Of course you'll see it because this is what he is. But there's nothing less that you expect from this writer of Paradise Lost. He could have not written inelegantly, and he could not have written something that is not instructive. But the basis of Paradise Regained is narrow dialogue without action, can never please like a union of the narrative and the dramatic powers. इशू पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड के साथ ये है कि इसमें कोई ड्रामा नहीं है, इसमें कोई एक्शन नहीं है. पैराडाइज लॉस्ट में एक्शन था. देयर वाज दिस फॉल, फर्स्ट देयर वाज दिस फाइट बिटवीन द एंजल्स, देन देयर वाज दिस फॉल ऑफ सैटर्न, देन देयर वाज दिस डिसीजन दैट सैटर्न मेड दैट ऑफ कोर्स आई एम गोइंग टू गो एंड करप्ट द क्रिएशन ऑफ गॉड सो दैट आई कैन plot my revenge. And for this purpose he went to the paradise, and you know the rest of the story. So there was a lot of action in it. ठीक है, वो action भी slowed down था, वो action भी ऐसा नहीं था कि जो आपको आपकी seats के edge पे रखेगा, but it was the kind of action that something was happening. You knew you knew that there was some sort of drama going on. You knew that there was a consequential events, series of events. ठीक है कि ये हुआ, फिर ये होगा, फिर उसके बाद ये होगा, और as a result of all this is going to happen in the end. But Paradise Regained में there's nothing like, there's no drama there. There's no action there. So it's based on a very narrow dialogue कि Jesus is supposed to redeem the mankind. बस इस notion पे, इस basis पे, it's sort of a sermon, it's sort of a lecture which Milton has written. It does not have the poetic quality that we would expect from Milton. उसमें वो poetic quality language के हिसाब से होगी, diction के हिसाब से भी होगी, but it does not have the kind of things that we would expect from Milton है. अच्छा, the basis of Paradise Regained is a narrow dialogue. It's a narrow dialogue. It's not something vast. जैसे हम Paradise Lost के लिए कहते थे ना कि it's something vast, gigantic, something expanded, something with amplitude. This is not the case with Paradise Regained. Had this poem been written not by Milton but by some imitator, it would have claimed and received universal praise. In comparison to Paradise Lost, we consider it to be a poor effort. But Samuel Johnson says that had this poem been written by an imitator, someone who has been trying to imitate Milton, then this poem would have been considered a great success. Because जैसे होता है ना कि मिल्टन को आप इतना बड़ा पोएट समझ रहे हैं बिकॉज ही हैज रिटन एज एन नॉट एज एन इमिटेशन बट टेकन इंस्पिरेशन फ्रॉम वर्जिल एंड होमर, तो कितना बड़ा राइटर बन गया कि उसने ऐसा एपिक लिखा. ठीक है, एपिक का टॉपिक उसका इतना डिफर कर गया, उसकी इंस्ट्रक्टिवनेस इतनी डिफर कर गई, उसकी मोरालिटी इतनी ज्यादा सुप्रीम हो गई कि वो उनसे बहुत आगे निकल गया. बट इवन देन इट वॉज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ एन इमिटेशन है. अगर किसी राइटर ने मिल्टन की इमिटेशन में पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड लिखी होती, कि फर्ज करें मिल्टन ने सिर्फ पैराडाइज लॉस्ट लिखी होती और किसी और ने पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड लिखी होती, टू कंटिन्यू विद इट, टू प्रोवाइड अ सीक्वल टू पैराडाइज लॉस्ट, देन इट वुड हैव बीन एन इंस्टेंट सक्सेस. इट वुड हैव बीन extremely great for that writer. People would have praised it a lot. But the thing is, when Milton has written it, it was not, fulfilling the expectations that you have from Milton. Language पे उतर जाती है पूरी, but ज़्यादा instruction हो जाती है, और instruction चूँकि ज़्यादा हो जाती है इसलिए उसमें से ड्रामा और एक्शन तो है ही नहीं, इंस्ट्रक्शन इसी वजह से ज्यादा है ना, और फिर उसकी वजह से फिर पीपल फाइंड इट वेरी बोरिंग. तो पैराडाइज लॉस्ट भी जब इतना वो नहीं, हुकिंग नहीं है, इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं क्रिएट कर सकती, रिटेन नहीं कर सकती, तो पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड तो फिर उस हिसाब से बिल्कुल ही लोअर लेवल की थी. सो पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड वाज नॉट मच ऑफ अ सक्सेस. बट विद पैराडाइज रीगेन्ड देयर वाज अनदर पोएम दैट वाज पब्लिश्ड. इट वाज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ ड्रामा. कॉमर्स जिस तरह मास्क था ना, इसी तरह इसने लिखा था सैमसन एगनाइस्टस. एगनाइस्टस भी इसने बाइबल से स्टोरी ली थी. इट वाज ऑफ एन इजराइली Jew, and it was published with Paradise Regained. Unlike Paradise Regained, it received a lot of admiration. Milton's bias for classics against French and English literature. Milton has this bias. ठीक है, there was the English drama was very famous at that time. French theatre पे बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा था. But Milton had this strange bias. And वो जो होते हैं ना, कुछ लोग जो शायद ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे होते हैं या ज़्यादा serious minded होते हैं, he focused on the classics. He focused on the Greek tragedies. He focused on Sophocles and Euripides. He focused on Aristotle. He focused on Homer and Virgil and Dante and all these kind of people. He did not believe कि मैं जो हूँ जो modern contemporary theatre है इस पे focus करूँ. So उसका drama जो है, it's not like the modern theatre of that time. जब Samson Agonistes was written in the form of a drama, it was not, if it was a drama, it would not be the same kind of drama as was performed by the English, performed on the English stage or the French stage. It is the name of Milton because of which a drama can be praised in which the intermediate parts have neither cause nor consequence, neither hasten nor retard the catastrophe. अच्छा, अब इसकी जो सबसे बड़ा क्रिटिसिज्म सैमुअल जॉनसन ने बिल्कुल शुरू में कर दिया है वो ये है कि ऐसा ड्रामा लिखा जो सिर्फ मिल्टन के नाम की वजह से मशहूर हो गया. अब ड्रामा की क्वालिटीज क्या थी? वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इट इन डिटेल while we were discussing Aristotle. So ड्रामा की क्वालिटीज ये है ना कि there should be a catastrophe. कैटास्ट्रफी होगी ना, किसी स्टेज पे पहुंच के कोई ऐसा इवेंट होगा कि जिसके बाद डेसिस स्टार्ट होगा, सॉरी लूसिस स्टार्ट होगा, कोई ऐसा स्टेज आएगी जिसमें एनाग्नोसिस होगा और पैरापीशिया होगा. जब एनाग्नोसिस और पैरापीशिया किसी कैटास्ट्रफी, जो एनाग्नोसिस या पैरापीशिया दे इन इटसेल्फ आर अ कैटास्ट्रफी. सो ये सिर्फ मिल्टन है, उसका नाम है, उसकी वजह से यू आर बेयरिंग अप दिस प्ले विच ही हैज रिटन दैट देयर इज नो कॉज और नॉर कॉन्सिक्वेंस. बिगिनिंग, मिडिल और एंड में प्रॉपर कॉज होना चाहिए ना. इफ देयर इज फॉर द मिडिल देयर हैज टू बी अ कॉज कि उस स्टेज तक चीजें कैसे पहुंची, एंड फ्रॉम दैट मिडिल ऑफ कोर्स एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट मिडिल देयर हैज टू बी अ कॉन्सिक्वेंस एज वेल. सो देयर इज नो कॉज एंड देयर इज नो कॉन्सिक्वेंस. द थिंग्स, इट्स just pure instructiveness there, and there is no, there's nothing, there's no action that is going to hasten the catastrophe, and there's no action that is going to stop or hinder the catastrophe. Things are going very slowly, very slow pace, and things are happening. और वो भी कोई इस तरह का proper नहीं है कि यानी कि domino effect भी नहीं चल रहा कि consequential series of events है कि event A is leading to event B and event B is of course leading to event C. और we do not expect certain things are happening, जिसके बाद टम्बलर्स किस्म की डाउनफॉल स्टार्ट हो जाए, या फिर ये कि डाउनहिल जाना शुरू कर दें चीजें, ये चीजें एकदम क्रम्बल डाउन हो जाए. कोई भी ऐसा एक्शन नहीं है, कोई भी ऐसे एजेंट्स नहीं है, ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है जिसमें ऐसी यानी कि उसकी जो एपिसोड्स हैं दे आर नॉट लाइक दैट कि वो किसी भी चीज को तेज कर दें या किसी भी चीज को रोक दें. इंटरमीडिएट, जो बीच में कोरस का सॉन्ग आता था आमतौर पर ग्रीक ट्रेजेडी में, इट यूज्ड टू गिव यू सम सॉर्ट ऑफ रेवलेशन, और उस रेवलेशन के बाद या तो चीजें नीचे जाती थी या चीजें इंप्रूव हो जाती थी. इसके केस में ये जो इसकी इंटरमीडिएट्स आते हैं, इसमें कोई खास इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं आती, कुछ खास नहीं होता, चीजें वैसी चलती रहती हैं. In this tragedy are many particular beauties, many just sentiments and striking lines, but it wants the power of attracting the attention which a well-collected plan produces. अच्छा, इशू क्या था यहाँ पे? जैसे उसने पहले कहा कि सैमुअल जॉनसन कहता है कि लैंग्वेज बहुत अच्छी है, बहुत प्यारा इमेजेस क्रिएट हुए हैं, सेंटिमेंट्स जो कैरेक्टर्स को, एजेंट्स को प्रोवाइड किए गए हैं, जो थॉट्स दी गई हैं, जो उनकी फीलिंग्स पोर्ट्रे की गई हैं, देयर एक्सेलेंट, ठीक है. एंड देयर ब्यूटीफुल लाइंस, ब्यूटीफुल डायलॉग्स रिटन, डायलॉग्स दैट यू एंजॉय आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट, even if the dialogue is not influencing the action of the play, even if the dialogue is not leading to some sort of action, they're so beautifully written, they're so well written, they have so well constructed structures that you enjoy reading those lines. ठीक है, there is every kind of beauty in it. Image अच्छा create किया हुआ है, language अच्छी है, dialogues अच्छे लिखे हुए हैं, characters well made up हैं, उनकी thoughts और sentiments just हैं, accurate हैं, particular to that character हैं. लेकिन there is that attraction lacking. And why is the attraction lacking? This play cannot pull you towards it. Like जिस Paradise Lost के बारे में भी इसने कहा ना कि it could not hook you up. It could not hook you up, and there are several reasons for not hooking you up. But even in this case, the reason for not hooking you up, not retaining your interest, was because this play, it lacked a well-connected plan. It did not have a well-connected procedure. It does not have a well-connected plot. Aristotle ने कहा था ना कि mythos, जो plot है, that is one of the most important things in the drama. So जब वो well-connected plot होता है तो it pulls everything together. अब चूंकि वो well-connected plot नहीं है तो things are falling apart. There is dialogue there, there is character there, there is language there, there are images there, spectacle create हुआ है, सब कुछ है. But even then it's not creating the desired effect. And so we think that Aristotle was proved right here when he says that something that was so well written could not create the desired effect. Why? Because it did not have the desired plot, it did not have the well constructed plot. When the things do not have a well constructed plot, they tend to fall apart. Milton would have excelled in dramatic writing. Would not have excelled in dramatic writing. He knew human nature only in gross. He was a little, shy, you can say, or he was a little recluse. He was not into mingling with people. He was not a social kind of a person. He did not observe life firsthand. वो ऐसा आदमी नहीं था जिसकी बहुत बड़ी सोशल लाइफ हो, जिसका बहुत बड़ा सोशल सर्कल हो, या जो बहुत ज़्यादा पॉलिटिकल नेचर का हो और जो लोगों के साथ मिलता जुलता रहता हो, ठीक है. He was not that kind of a person who would sit in a pub and observe people. He was a shy person, he was a recluse person, he kept himself to himself, and because of that reason he did not knew human beings. He did not understand the human nature in gross. He expects what we expect from a good man. वो हमेशा जो आपको बुक्स से नॉलेज मिलता है ना किसी भी चीज के बारे में, that's always the superficial kind of knowledge, because human beings are the most complicated beings, as you know. आप उनके इमोशंस, उनकी थॉट्स, उनकी लॉजिक और उनकी रीजन, इट कैन मल्टीप्लाई इनटू 1101 बिलियन, आई डोंट नो व्हाट नंबर टू से, बट इतने कॉम्बिनेशंस बन जाते हैं ह्यूमन नेचर के, ह्यूमन इमोशंस के, it is not possible for a person to understand a human being by reading classics. And this is what he did. His study of human beings was based on the classics, of human nature was based on the classics. He needed a gross, उसके पास एक superficial सा knowledge था human nature का. And for drama you needed depth, and he lacked that, because उसको उस तरह की जो shady sides of human character maybe he didn't know that well. He knew what the books could teach, but he had mingled little with the world and was deficient in knowledge and experience must confer. एक चीज है जो आपको एक्सपीरियंस से ही आती है, ठीक है. आपके पास एक गाड़ी है, आपने उस गाड़ी का मैनुअल खोला हुआ है, आप उसके इंजन के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, आप उसकी जो है लेट्स से जो उसकी पावर है उसके बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, उसकी ब्रेक के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, इंडिकेटर के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे इंडिकेटर है, यहाँ पे ब्रेक है, ये इस तरह चलता है, ये इस तरह नहीं चलती. फिर आपने ट्रैफिक वाली बुक पढ़ ली, उसमें गाड़ी चलाने का तरीका बताया हुआ है, उसमें ट्रैफिक रूल्स लिखे हुए हैं. वो किताबें पढ़ने से आपके पास नॉलेज सारा आ जाएगा. यू कैन टॉक अबाउट ड्राइविंग अ कार, यू कैन टॉक अबाउट इट लाइक फॉर एन आवर और सो, कि ये रूल्स फॉलो करने चाहिए. गाड़ी इस तरह स्टार्ट करते हैं, स्टार्ट करने के बाद इस तरह ब्रेक उतारते हैं, फिर हल्का सा क्लच को प्रेस करते हैं और एक्सीलेटर को प्रेस करते हैं, क्लच को छोड़ते हैं, गाड़ी चल पड़ती है. बात नहीं करना तो बड़ी आसान है. असल में गाड़ी चलाना एक्सपीरियंस, जो नॉलेज आपको एक्सपीरियंस देगा ना, वो नॉलेज आपको बुक नहीं देगी, क्योंकि एक्सपीरियंस आपको बताएगा कि जब आप क्लच छोड़ते हैं तो आपको पता ही नहीं चलता कि आपने क्लच कितनी आहिस्ता से छोड़ना है और एक्सीलेटर को साथ साथ दबाते जाना है. आपने एक बैलेंस क्रिएट करना है ना क्लच और एक्सीलेटर के दरमियान में. तो वो जो चीज है कि एक्सपीरियंस आपको बताता है कि ये बैलेंस कैसे आएगा, और अगर ये बैलेंस नहीं होगा तो गाड़ी एक झटके से या तो पीछे जाएगी या आगे जाएगी, रुक जाएगी, ठीक है. ये चीज मिल्टन में लैकिंग थी, गाड़ी चलाना नहीं, बल्कि ये चीज द थिंग्स, द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ लाइफ दैट वुड कम विद एक्सपीरियंस, बिकॉज ही गॉट ऑल ही कुड फ्रॉम बुक्स, बट ही डिडंट हैव द नॉलेज दैट वाज नेसेसरी एंड दैट वुड कम from the experience. He didn't have that kind of professional life as well. He wrote pamphlets for Oliver Cromwell or for the Puritan movements, but he was not that kind of a person. Who was too involved in the public life. He was never in the public eye. और वो सारे पोएट था सारा कुछ, पर ये आजकल के पोएट्स की तरह का पोएट तो नहीं होगा ना कि हर रोज बज़्म अदब में बैठे हुए हैं जाके, या कॉफी हाउस में बैठे हुए हैं और या फिर रोजाना कॉलम लिख रहे हैं अखबार में. He was not that kind of a person, and he had not much dealings with life, so he did not understand what human beings were actually like. He understood what books taught him, but he didn't understand what experience could teach him about life and about human beings. Through all his great works, there prevails a uniform peculiarity of diction that bears no resemblance to any past writers. अच्छा, अब उसकी लैंग्वेज पे बहुत ज़्यादा कमेंट किया जाता है कि उसके बारे में कहा जाता है कि if you do not know Milton and you open his books, you will find that you're reading a language that you do not know. You won't consider it English, because they believe that he has written in a language that in the kind of English or the words that he has used, or the diction जिसको आप असल में कहते हैं, जिसका writing जिसकी language है, वो ऐसी language है जिससे पहले लिखी ही नहीं गई, जो पहले लोग लिखते ही नहीं थे. अब ये नहीं था कि उसने कोई अपनी अंग्रेजी बना ली थी, बल्कि it was the kind of thing that he had made certain combinations of words. He used certain words in such a way that were never used before. So when a person who was not familiar with his style, because होता ये कि you have to be on that frequency to understand that particular poet. In Milton's case, that's true as well. You have to be on the frequency Milton is writing on. If you're on that frequency, you can decipher the codes. You can understand what he wanted to say. You can understand what this metaphor means. You can understand what this simile means. You can understand how he has used a particular verb in this particular situation. These things, these intricacies of language, they can be only understood if you understand Milton, if you are familiar with the style. But as Samuel Johnson says, that when you are not learned in his style, when you're not learned with the functioning of language, when you're not learned with the Greeks, with the classics, and if you're not learned with the knowledge of how language works, then you would find that it is difficult to read Milton. You need a dictionary to go through Milton. It won't come to you easily just by reading. कि आप वो book खोलेंगे और पढ़ना शुरू कर देंगे तो आपको समझ आना शुरू हो जाएगा कि no, it's not possible. Milton is not that easy. This cannot happen in case of Milton. Addison says, our language sank under him. Why did he say that? Because he thinks कि उसका idea इतना bright होता था, idea इतना heavy होता था कि जो उसकी width थी, उसके बोझ के नीचे आके language खत्म हो जाती थी. It was not our language, the common language that we understood, could not sustain such heavy subject matters. So he had to devise new ways of using that language. He had to devise new ways of using words and verbs and nouns and adjectives and adverbs to put them in a different way, not in the way they were regularly used. He had to devise certain metaphors. He had to find new similes. He had to find new allusions. और वो allusions को use भी different तरह से करेगा. So it was sort of essential for him to write like that, because what he wanted to say was, it was not possible to be said in the commonly used language. So he uses English with a foreign idiom, which in his prose is condemned, but the power and beauty of his poetry is so that criticism sinks in admiration. अब ये जो उसके बारे में कहा जाता है ना कि वो अंग्रेजी को फ्रेंच की तरह लिख रहा है, या अंग्रेजी को ग्रीक की तरह लिखता है, या अंग्रेजी को लैटिन की तरह लिखता है, because he's so much influenced with classics. अब हमने बात की है ये बहुत दफा कि क्लासिक स्टडी उसकी बहुत ज्यादा थी, so वो उसी स्टाइल में लिखता है. वो लैंग्वेज की जो कॉमन वर्ड स्ट्रक्चर ऑर्डर है, वर्ब जिसको आप कहते हैं कि वर्ब पहले आएगा नाउन, बाद में वर्ब फ्रेज है, नाउन फ्रेज है, और उसके बाद इस तरह, तो he did not follow it. He wrote it in that form. वो जो उसने जिस तरह सीखा था या जिस तरह उसने पढ़ा था, he followed that. So when he followed that, आम बंदे के लिए उसको समझना मुश्किल हो जाता था. तो उसकी प्रोज में तो ये गलतियां फौरन पकड़ी जाती थी, क्योंकि प्रोज में पीपल डोंट गिव मच लाइसेंस, और उसकी प्रोज इतनी पावरफुल थी भी नहीं कि आप इन ऑ रहें उसके और आप कहें कि यार छोड़ो, जाने दो, जो करते करने दो इसको, इट्स सच अ गुड राइटिंग. Uski poetry mein this is true. He has made the same kind of mistakes in his poetry. He had used the same license in his poetry. But people, they sink in admiration. They believe that he has written such good poetry. It's so wonderful that we ignore everything else, that we do not find the need to criticize him for the kind of language or the kind of idiom that he has used in this poetry. You just sit there and you enjoy the poetry, that's all. Acha. Milton's style was modified by his subject. Whatever he wrote, the language or the style depended on the subject matter. So this is quite obvious, because when he was writing Paradise Lost, the subject was so grand that his language became grander and loftier by that. So he wrote no language. This is quite a exaggeration, but it means that whatever he was writing was not understood by common man. He devised a language of his own. The person who said that, Dryden, he believes that Milton has written something out of extraordinary, something that we do not understand, something that he has created for the sake of the lofty subjects or the noble subjects, or the grand subjects, or the reverent subjects that he has discovered for himself, that he wants to write about. So that is why he says that that's no language, because it's a language that he himself devised for the sake of the subjects that he was dealing with. Butler called it a Babylonish dialect. It's something that's extinct, something that is no longer in use, something that is a dead language, a dead dialect. Babylon में जो बोला जाता था. So people were quite sick of how he used to write. People were perplexed, they were puzzled, they didn't like the language that he was using. So they used different ways of explaining how troublesome they find whatever Milton has to write. Made by exalted genius and extensive learning. This was a line, this was this dialect, Butler says. At one point he's being, irritated. He says that he writes in Babylonish dialect. But at the same time, there is this unwilling admiration he has for Milton when he says that it was made by exalted genius and by extensive learning. It's not something that comes naturally. It's genius that was God-gifted, and that genius elevated the language. And it was, hard work, and it was extensive learning on part of Milton. We find grace in its deformity, as it provides so much learning and pleasure. अच्छा, अब ये जो चीज़ है जो लैंग्वेज पे इतना ज़्यादा एतराज़ हुआ है कि वो ऐसी लैंग्वेज में लिखता है जो समझ नहीं आती, जो कि फॉरेन है, जो कि बैबिलोनिक है, जो कि लैंग्वेज ही नहीं है, ये सब कुछ जो है ये इट्स सॉर्ट ऑफ अ डिफॉर्मिटी ना, इट्स अ फॉल्ट, ठीक है. सो दिस फॉल्ट इज सो ग्रेसफुल as it provides so much learning and it provides so much pleasure that you are ready to forget and overlook this fault. वो डिफॉर्म जरूर कर रही है पोइट्री को, लेकिन आप उसको इग्नोर कर देते हैं. आप कहते हैं कि छोड़ो यार, कोई बात नहीं, अगर कर रही है गलतियां तो करने दो ये गलती उसको. इट्स ऑल राइट, वी लाइक इट. We like it. We like this deformed language. We would work hard. We would, look into a dictionary and find the meanings of these words. We will try to work hard and decipher the codes that Milton has written. From his books alone, the art of English poetry may be learned. So this is the highest praise Samuel Johnson can offer you, that this is what English poetry is all about. What Milton has written can tell you what English poetry is. So if you read his books, you will be knowing how to write poems in English, or what English poetry is actually. अगर आपने history पढ़नी है English poetry की, उसका style पढ़ना है, या English poetry पे critical appreciation लिखनी है, तो आप Milton को पढ़ें. And when you read Milton, it would tell you everything there is to be known about English poetry. अच्छा जी, नेक्स्ट जो चीज़ हमने पढ़नी है मिल्टन की, सैमुअल जॉनसन की, वो है मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स. अब काउले वाज अ मेटाफिजिकल पोइट. जितना आपके उसमें कोर्स वर्क में इंक्लूडेड है ये, उसमें तो हमने काउले के बारे में ऐसा सच नहीं पढ़ना, बट जितने कमेंट्स हमारे पास सैमुअल जॉनसन के हैं, देयर अबाउट मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स, व्हाट ही थॉट मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स वर लाइक, एंड ही हैड अ लॉट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्शंस अबाउट मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स. Cowley was one of the metaphysical poets. John Donne was one of the metaphysical poets. George Herbert was one of the metaphysical poets. They were very great poets. Greatness in the sense that they introduced something new to poetry, and people do like them. Many people do like them, and they're included in the classics as well. Samuel Johnson has so many things to say about them. He does not like them much, and he says that they're artificial and removed from reality. So let's go and see what Samuel Johnson has to say about them. So wit, like all other things, has its changes and fashions, and at different times take different forms. ठीक है? Wit जो है ना, ये ज़बान और अकल और ये just this ability to reproduce, to create literature. This, according to Samuel Johnson, is like everything else. Just like clothes change in fashion, just like different cars comes into fashion, just like different kind of houses, different colors come into fashion. Similarly, Samuel Johnson says wit also has its fashion. Sometimes poetry is in, sometimes romantic poetry is in, sometimes people write couplets, sometimes people write sonnets, sometimes people like to write and the conceits which metaphysical poetry give you. About the beginning of the 19th century, there appeared a race of writers that may be termed as metaphysical poets. 19th century, that is 1800 something, ठीक है? And they were, it was इसने इसके लिए word use किया है, race of poets. It came into being. It was just like, a complete new civilization sort of thingy. It was not that everyone was doing it. It was, a separate stream of poets. At the same time, Pope was existing there. Classics भी थे उस वक्त, वो भी कर रहे थे सारा कुछ, लेकिन साथ ही उसके ये भी एक stream चल रही थी, ठीक है? The metaphysical poets are men of learning, and to show their learning was their whole endeavor. Unluckily, resolving to show it in rhyme, instead of writing poetry, they only wrote verses. यहाँ पे extreme insult हो गई है, और वो insult ये है कि metaphysical poets were men of learning. Granted, they knew their stuff. They knew science, they knew art, they knew literature. They knew most of the things that were happening. Geography भी उनको बहुत पसंद थी, because वो geography से बहुत ज़्यादा conceits, बहुत ज़्यादा references, बहुत ज़्यादा allusions लेके आते थे, ठीक है? And to show their learning was their whole endeavor. सारा पर्पस उनकी जो पूरी एक्सरसाइज वो कर रहे थे ना, उसका पर्पस अकॉर्डिंग टू सैमुअल जॉनसन वाज टू शो ऑफ, टू शो पीपल हाउ मच दे नो, टू शो पीपल हाउ much more they know from the regular man, more than the regular man, how much more they know than the other poets who were constantly writing about classics, constantly writing about love, and constantly writing about things happening in the court. According to them, it was useless. So they entered into poetry with the idea of depicting science and all these kinds of things. So unluckily, resolving to show it in rhyme. तो उन्होंने decide किया metaphysical poets ने कि they're going to resolve it or they're going to show off in rhyme. तो उन्होंने सोचा कि वो poetry लिखेंगी, लेकिन according to Samuel Johnson, they didn't write poetry, they wrote verses. अगर आपको याद हो तो हमने ये डिस्कस किया था कि एरिस्टोटल ने कहा था ये कि देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन पोइट्री एंड थिंग्स रिटन इन वर्सेस. हमारे ख्याल में पोइट्री होती है जो चीज वर्सेस में लिखी जाती है, लेकिन एरिस्टोटल ने कहा था कि पोइट्री वो चीज होती है जिसमें इमिटेशन होती है, मैमसेस होते हैं. ठीक है. सिमिलरली सैमुअल जॉनसन इज सेइंग द सेम थिंग हियर. ही इज सेइंग दैट व्हाट दे रोट हैड अ राइम स्कीम. ठीक है. इट इज वर्स but it's not poetry. So he's outrightly, expelling them from the class of being poets. The modulation of whom was so imperfect that they were only found to be verses by counting the syllables. अब आप पढ़ते हैं उसको तो उसकी मॉड्यूलेशन है कि आप ऊंची आवाज में जब उस वर्स को पढ़ा तो it is so out of tune that you do not understand what they want to say here. That you have to count the syllables. जैसे rhyme scheme में count करते हैं ना कि syllables count के stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed. ये सब count करेंगे कि अच्छा इसमें इतने syllables पूरे हैं तो यानी कि मीटर count करने के लिए उसका. तो आप वो count करते हैं तो to make sure कि हाँ जी ये poetry ही है, हाँ जी ये एक verse ही में लिखा गया है. So what he's being very disdainful about metaphysical poets here. He says that they do not have anything to say. They have knowledge of everything that is happening in the world at that time. The world was changing very fast in this time period. So there was so many new discoveries made. There were many new scientific discoveries and inventions being made. तो उन सारी चीजों को incorporate कर दिया उन्होंने poetry में. लेकिन Samuel Johnson कहता है कि this was not poetry. This was just writing verse. Writing things, counting the syllables, and that is all. If you read it, you don't think it is poetry. When you look at the subject matter, that's not poetry either. So all they wanted to show here in the poetry that they've written is that they can write verses, and they wanted to show off the things that they know a little, and they wanted to show that they know more than the common man or more than the other poets were writing at that time. As Aristotle has called poetry an imitative act, these writers will lose their right to be called as poets. अब वो imitative act है. It has to be an imitation of what life is. It should create certain ideas in your minds. You remember that we discussed कि Aristotle ने कहा था कि mimesis क्या होता है? Mimesis is something that is going to create ideas in your mind. That is going to give you ideas in your mind. The ideas that you can relate with certain things. Things that have happened in your life and things that can probably happen in your life, and the probability is affected by the way the story or the poem is told. ठीक है ना? तो in this case, Samuel Johnson says that if Aristotle say that poetry is an imitative art, then these poets, they should not be called poets because they do not imitate anything. Imitation तो वही चीज की होगी ना जो real life में present है, वो Plato की theory of form भी इसमें आ जाएगी, but I hope you remember it. So जब imitation ही किसी चीज की नहीं हो रही, because they seem to have imitated nothing. They neither copied nature nor life, neither painted the forms of matter nor represented the operations of intellect. Samuel Johnson ने उनको बिल्कुल ही डिस्कार्ड कर दिया, उनकी हर चीज को. उसने कहा कि उसने तो कुछ भी इमिटेट नहीं किया हुआ, इन्होंने तो कुछ भी नहीं आपको बताया हुआ. They have not copied nature. ठीक है. They have not copied from what God has created, nor have they tried to take characters from life, and nor they have tried to copy the tragedy of life or the happiness of life or the comedy that is happening around us everywhere or whatever befalls human beings. They have not copied from it. They have not copied from nature. They have not copied from life. They have never they haven't painted the forms of matter. ठीक है. कि material objects जो आपके गिरी क्या उनको पेंट किया है, उनके बारे में बात की नहीं. They have not represented the operations of intellect. Philosophy पे भी बात नहीं हुई, theology पे भी बात नहीं हुई. What have they talked about? They've imitated nothing. So when they are not imitating anything, it means that they're not poets. They may be called wits, as Dryden also confesses that Donne was superior to him in wit, but all his contemporaries, they surpass him as a poet. ठीक है. Learned लोग थे. University wits आपको याद होंगी. University wits were people who used to study in university at that time, created literature and they wrote drama. पढ़े लिखे लोग जो होते हैं जिनको आप कह सकते हैं. ठीक है. So Samuel Johnson believes कि इनको आप wits जरूर कह सकते हैं पर इनको आप poets नहीं कह सकते. So they're wits, and he says that Dryden himself confesses कि John Donne, who was a metaphysical poet, was far much superior to him as far as wit goes, but he was not superior to him if we are considering the poetry or the art of poetry or the poetic ability. Which defined by Pope that which has been often thought but was never before was so well expressed. So अगर आप इस definition को अपने दिमाग में रखते हैं पोप की wit की definition को, तो फिर तो metaphysical poets इसमें पूरा उतरते हैं, because the sole purpose of their creation, the sole purpose of the poetry they were writing, or the verses as Samuel Johnson puts it, they were writing was to say something that has never been said before, to be innovative, to create something new, something that has never been written, said or painted or portrayed before. They endeavored to be singular in their thoughts and were careless in their diction. बस एक पर्पस था कि हम सबसे अलग हों. ये जो एक जुनून है उनका ये था कि सबसे हटके, सबसे अलग. So for that purpose, they didn't care about the language and they didn't care about the subject matter they were trying to portray or to convey to the readers. All they cared about was to, think of something unique, think of something unique comparison, think of some unique simile, think of some unique metaphor that has never been done before. Talking of things that have never been thought of or, talked of or written by anyone. जैसे उसकी poem थी जॉन डन की, जब उसने कहा था to, like, if it is to catch a falling star and to pull a mandrake by the root. जब ये सारा कुछ हो जाएगा तो मैं मान लूंगा कि कोई औरत भी इस दुनिया में ऐसी है जो कि who is not faithless, ठीक है, who is faithful. So बहुत अजीब से आइडियाज को लेके आते हैं, माइथोलॉजी में भी जाते हैं, कॉमन साइंस में भी जाते हैं, ज्योग्राफी में भी जाएंगे, हिस्ट्री में भी चले जाएंगे, बायो साइंस, फिजिक्स, एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स, हर तरह की चीज़ों से एग्जांपल्स लाते हैं और ऐसी बात कहने की कोशिश करते हैं जो कि आज से पहले किसी ने ना कही हो. Johnson, however, disagrees with this definition. He thinks Pope has depressed it below its natural dignity and reduced it from strength of thought to happiness of language. Johnson does not agree with Pope की definition. Pope ने definition दी थी ना कि wit is something that is to say something that has never been thought of or said before. इस तरह कहा जाए एक चीज़ को कि पहले किसी ने इस तरह ना कहा. But Johnson says that this is like, pulling it a little too low. This is like suppressing it a little too much. It is below the natural dignity. It reduces it from strength of thought to happiness of language. It means कि आपने उसके जो thought process था, जो उसके subject matter होना चाहिए था, जो उसके पीछे message था, उसको आपने completely ignore कर दिया है और आप focus कर रहे हैं उस language पे जिससे आप बात convey करेंगे, जिसके ज़रिए आप बात दूसरे तक पहुँचाएंगे. तो आपको language की innovativeness चाहिए, आपको language में something new चाहिए. You do not believe in new thought process है. Thoughts of metaphysical poets are often new but seldom natural. ठीक है, अब ठीक है, क्योंकि you can't have new things and good things at the same time. It might happen sometimes, there are exceptions there, but generally what happens is something that is new is hardly natural, because you have to work very hard. Because there's hardly anything that has never been said before. आप कोई दुनिया के पहले बंदे तो हैं नहीं. आपने जो दिमाग में आया है वो किसी और के दिमाग में भी आया होगा आपसे पहले. So the same thing is he's trying to say here कि जो उनके thoughts हैं, they're nothing new. They can't be anything new. And if they are anything new, it wouldn't be natural. It would be, a stretchy event. It would be something that you have dragged a little. They are not obvious, but they are not just wither. I mean कि obvious नहीं होंगी, लेकिन वो इतनी छुपी हुई भी नहीं होंगी, because वही बात जो मैंने अभी की है कि ऐसे नहीं हो सकता कि कोई चीज़ पहले ना हुई हो. And a reader wonders why were they even formed. It is so unusual, it is so unique not in a positive sense but in a negative sense as well. It is so unique that the reader finds कि why would you talk about such a thing? Why would you need to talk about such a thing? There's no need to talk about, sun being the center of the universe and like the bedroom is the center of the universe because you are there with the lover. इस तरह की बातें वो करते हैं और रीडर हैरान होते थोड़ी देर के लिए कि इतनी फार फेच्ड कंसीट बनाने की क्या जरूरत थी. जैसे उसने कहा कि the two lovers they are like two needles of a compass. जिस तरह वो दोनों needles एक दूसरे से दूर दूर रहते हैं, इस तरह हम भी एक दूसरे से दूर दूर रहते हैं. I mean compass की needles को बीच में ले आते हैं. इस तरह की allusions उनकी हैं, इस तरह की conceits, इस तरह के references उनके हैं. इसकी basis पे writers और जो critics हैं they believe कि they being a little too out of ordinary, trying to be unique, they become too out of ordinary and it becomes unpleasing to the reader because कुछ नई thought भी नहीं होती, unnatural लगता है आपको और ऑब्वियस भी कई दफ़ा बातें होती हैं, लेकिन आपको समझ फौरन नहीं आती हैं, आपको थोड़ा सा सोचना पड़ता है उस पर, एंड इट डज नॉट प्रोवाइड यू द प्लेजर दैट यू वुड एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्री. Wit in this case may be called discordia concurs. Discordia concurs are things that do not, that dissimilar images, that do not combine with it, that do not match it, when there is no comparison between things. Wit in their case may be called discordia concurrus, a combination of dissimilar images or discovery of occult resemblance in things apparently unlike. बहुत ज़्यादा वही बात जो मैंने अभी पहले बताई है आपको कि वो ऐसे इमेजेस को आपस में मिलाते थे जिनका आपस में एज सच कोई रिलेशन नहीं नज़र आता. बहुत डिफरेंट इमेजेस को, बहुत डिफरेंट चीज़ों को आपस में मिला देते थे, बहुत डिफरेंट आइडियाज़ को आपस में मिला देते थे, जो कि जनरली चीज़ें, जो एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है ना लिंग्विस्टिक्स का, थिंग्स दैट आकर टुगेदर, कुछ कपल ऑफ थिंग्स होती हैं जैसे ब्लैक एंड वाइट, डे एंड नाइट, सॉल्ट एंड पेपर, ब्रेड एंड बटर, इस तरह की चीज़ें ना, ये चीज़ें ये वो हैं जो ऑटोमेटिकली अंडरस्टूड होती है, आकर टुगेदर, दे आकर टुगेदर इन लैंग्वेज एंड इन एवरीडे स्पीच. लेकिन कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जो एक दूसरे के साथ एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर रही होती. तो मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स जो थे ना, वो डिस्कॉर्डिया कॉन्कर्स पे बिलीव कर रहे थे, बिकॉज दे यूज्ड टू ब्रिंग थिंग्स दैट वर क्वाइट ऑपोजिट टू ईच अदर, थिंग्स दैट जनरली डू नॉट एग्जिस्ट टुगेदर, एंड फॉर्म अ न्यू imagery by using these images. The most heterogeneous ideas are yoked together by violence. Look at this word violence here. The word violence is very important here. They yoked together. उनको आपस में जोड़ दिया जाता था, weld कर दिया जाता था violence से. They didn't come together naturally. Very heterogeneous ideas, very mixed ideas, very different ideas, poles apart. And they brought together, they yoked together with violence. And the violence was not good because it did not, it created this aura around the word and the poem which was not pleasing, very much pleasing. Nature and art were ransacked for ideas, allusions, comparison, illustrations, everything. अभी हमें सिर्फ नेचर और आर्ट मेंशन किया हुआ है, साइंस में भी, यानी कि हर किस्म की चीज़, हर किस्म के फील्ड जिसको वो सर्च कर सकते थे, वो उसको सर्च करते थे, उसमें से आइडिया लेते थे. इट वाज नो प्लेस, नो आइडिया, नो जॉनरा, नो फील्ड ऑफ स्टडी वाज आउट ऑफ लिमिट्स फॉर देम. दे हैव रैंसैक्ड इट. रैंसैक का मतलब होता है कि कंप्लीटली तलाश कर छोड़ा, कुछ नहीं छोड़ा, उल्टा फुल्टा कर दिया सब कुछ. डाकू घर से गए तो दे रैंसैक्ड द हाउस, ठीक है, हर चीज़ निकाल के देख ली. They did the same thing. They have ransacked arts and sciences and nature and everything to get allusions, to get comparisons, to get references. They instruct and surprise, but it comes at a high cost. ठीक है, you have to grant them. They do instruct. They tell you a few things. You get a few ideas that you didn't know about beforehand. You get that, but they instruct, and the instruction comes at a very high cost. You have to think very very hard. It does not provide you the pleasure. आप फौरन कंपस में और लवर्स में कनेक्शन नहीं बना सकते. आप मैंड्रेक रूट में और औरत में कोई कॉम्बिनेशन नहीं बना सकते फौरन. You have to think very hard about it. The reader admires them but is seldom pleased. एक दफ़ा जब आपको उसकी कंसीट समझ आती है, जैसे डन की पोएम है कोई, और आपको उसकी कंसीट समझ आ जाती है, आपको जो रेफरेंस उसने दी एकदम समझ आती है, आप थोड़ी देर के लिए हाँ क्या बात की है, but it does not give you pleasure. It's like a riddle that you have to solve. It's like a paheli. आप बूझते हैं, लेकिन it does not give you the pleasure. It's just a mental exercise that you undergo. You enjoy that mental exercise, but you do not want to continue with it for a longer period of time. They were not successful in moving or representing affection. वो आपको अपनी तरफ खींच नहीं सकते थे, वो आपको अपनी तरफ से, यानी कि किसी आइडिया की तरफ खींच नहीं सकते और किसी आइडिया से दूर नहीं कर सकते. They were not doing anything philosophical. They were not, training minds. They were not training ideas. They were not giving out philosophies. वो बस अपनी बातें करे जा रहे हैं. As they were wholly employed in something unexpected and surprising, they have no regard to that of uniformity of sentiment. चूंकि they're trying to create something new, they cannot hold on to sentiments. उनकी तो पर्पस ही डिफरेंट है. उनका पर्पस सेंटिमेंट्स नहीं है, उनका पर्पस इमोशंस और फीलिंग्स नहीं है. उनका पर्पस तो यह है कि they have to create a unique image, and for that sake they're going to sacrifice everything else. They do not care what they should have said or done. The purpose is their only goal, and the purpose is to write something that has never been written before. They're beholders of human nature. They are like deities. ठीक है, they're sitting on top of Mount Olympus and they're observing the mankind, doing everyday business. They do not seem to be involved in what they're writing. वो एक होते हैं ना, इसको कहते हैं, इसके लिए वर्ड यूज होता है, एक अलूफ ऑब्जर्वर की तरह साइड पे खड़े हुए इस तमाशा को देख रहे हैं, जो होता है ना, होता है शबे रोज तमाशा मेरे आगे, बस उस तरह के लोग हैं कि दे आर नॉट इन्वॉल्व्ड इन व्हाट दे राइटिंग. They do not seem involved in the human life. They are like deities, they're like gods, just observing whatever is happening. As deities making remarks on the actions of men and vicissitudes of life without interest and without emotion. They just mention these things, they just talk about these things, they talk about the multitudes of life, things that are happening in life, things, different vistas of life. They would talk about different emotions of human beings, but they won't seem involved in these things. Their courtship has no fondness and their lamentation has no sorrow. They are empty words, that is what he's trying to say here. Okay, when they talk of love, you do not feel the love in the words. When they talk of sorrow, you do not feel the passion of sorrow in their words. They're empty words, hollow shells. Their wish was to say what has never been said before. यहाँ पे बात खत्म हो जाती है कि उनका वाहिद ख्वाहिश ये थी कि वो बात करें जो आज से पहले नहीं की गई थी. बाकी सब कुछ कि वो अफेक्शन शो करें, वो ह्यूमन इमोशन को अंडरस्टैंड करें, वो ह्यूमन इमोशन को अच्छी तरह पोर्ट्रे करें, वो फीलिंग्स को पोर्ट्रे करें, वो कैरेक्टर्स क्रिएट करें, वो हैपनिंग्स इन लाइफ they want to understand it. They want nothing of the sort. They do not get involved in what they're writing. It's not from the heart, it's from the mind basically. आपकी logic, reason, आपकी study आपको ये poetry लिखवा रही है आपसे. It's not the passion that is driving you to write this poetry. It's not the passion it's not the sentiment inside that's driving you to write this poetry. It is just your mind that's driving you to write this poetry. So it's not heartfelt, and that is why it does not have the kind of effect it should have on the reader. These writers who lay on the watch for novelty could have little hope of greatness for greater things, cannot have escaped former observation. Because they write so logically, they can't expect greatness from, and they can't expect great praise, and they can't expect, they just observe things. They do not, good literature, great literature, the classic literature has always come from the heart. If it's not coming from the heart, it can never achieve the greatness. क्योंकि वो जो आपका असल emotion और passion होगी, it would show in the work, it would show in the words. And if it's not showing in the words, if the words look like, hollow shells or, containers of thought, then you won't feel the thing. And if you don't feel the thing, the reader does not feel the thing, it's not going to achieve the greatness that you will expect from your work. Their attempts were always analytic. वो चीज़ों को analyze करते रहते हैं, वो चीज़ों को समझेंगे नहीं, उसको analyze करेंगे. They broke every image into fragments. हर चीज़ का टुकड़ा टुकड़ा कर देंगे और हर चीज़ टुकड़े को एक अलग तरीके से इस्तेमाल करेंगे. Could not be more represented by the slender conceits, the prospects of nature or the scenes of life. क्योंकि वो इतनी बारीकी से चीज़ों को आप प्रेजेंट करेंगे, इतनी बारीकी में जाएंगे, इतनी बारीकी से इमेजेस निकाल के लाएंगे कि जैसे एक सनलाइट के सामने प्रिज्म रखते हैं ना, तो वो सनलाइट की जो बीम है, सूरज की जो किरण प्रिज्म में से गुजरेगी, वो 7 रंगों में डाइवर्स हो जाएगी, ठीक है ना, डिवाइड हो जाएगी. तो वो इसी तरह जिंदगी को, नेचर को, आर्ट को उन 7 अलग अलग रंगों में ले आएंगे. लेकिन वो रंग आप पे इफेक्ट नहीं करेंगे, बिकॉज दे डोंट वांट यू टू want you to be affected by whatever they're writing, because they themselves are not affected by whatever they're observing. What they wanted of the sublime, they endeavored to supply by hyperbole. जो चीज़ सबलिमिटी से अचीव हो सकती थी, इन्होंने ओवर एग्जैजरेशन से अचीव करने की कोशिश की है. The amplification had no limits. They can expand the things into, it's infinity. It's beyond any expectation. They can keep on expanding the images and allusions and references. They can keep on writing about things without stopping, because उनका तो purpose ही है कि they want to create something that has never been said before. So with this purpose, they can go to any extent. They left not only reason but fancy behind them. वो रीजन को ही नहीं छोड़ गए पीछे अपने, बल्कि वो लॉजिक को नहीं छोड़ गए, अक्ल को ही नहीं छोड़ गए, बल्कि वो फैंसी को भी छोड़ गए. उनकी जो हद है वो इमेजिनेशन से बहुत आगे जा चुकी है. And produced combinations of confused magnificence that not only could not be credited but could not be imagined. The wit, the conceit that they have created, the images that they create, they're so confused that एक तो वो इतनी इतने एग्जैजरेटेड, इतने कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हैं और इतनी ज़्यादा वास्ट फील्ड में से लिए गए हैं और उनके एम्पलीट्यूड्स, उनके इम्प्लीकेशंस इतनी वाइड हैं कि you can't even credit them, but you also can't imagine them. You can't put two and two together. They have created certain images, but sometimes you find these images so opposite, so different from each other, and so vast that you find that you can't understand them. You can't put these images together and create the vision they want to create. You can't understand whatever they wanted to say there because the images are so far-fetched. Yet great labor is never lost. ठीक है, they have worked very hard because in order to find so many references and so many ideas, so many different ideas, saying something new is always very difficult. It's always easy to say things that have been said so many times. That is why I love you is one of the most famous sentences, because you don't have to think about it, you do not have to express your love in something novel. So if you have worked so hard, as the metaphysical poets, they have worked very hard to find things, new images, new ideas, opposite ideas, and they have worked very hard to put them together. So if they frequently threw their wit upon false conceits, they likewise sometimes struck out unexpected truth. तो अगर most of the time हमें लगता है कि उनके ideas बहुत far-fetched हैं, बहुत opposite हैं और मज़े के नहीं हैं, तो at the same time sometimes they end up saying things that were extremely good. Sometimes they discovered something new as well, some new comparison. ऐसा comparison जो उसके बाद फिर आम फहम हो जाएगा, जो उसके बाद commonly use होना शुरू हो जाएगा. If their conceits were far-fetched, they were often with the carriage. कभी-कभी बहुत far-fetched conceits, बहुत far-fetched allusions, बहुत far-fetched references जो वो use करते थे, they could support it as well. So it's not always that they were, exaggerated. There were sometimes that they were exaggerated, but there was proof to aid that exaggeration as well. So this is about all. Let's sum it up a little. Milton has a lot to say about Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, but he does not like Paradise Regained much. He says that had Milton not written it, had the Milton's name not been on the book, it would not have been that famous, because it's like Paradise Lost, it's also very instructive and the language is elegant only in parts. But he's quite, in favor of Samson Agonastus, and he says that it's a good a play, but the only fault in Samson Agonastus is that it is unlike the modern or the contemporary drama of that time, and there is no great action taking place here, and there is no catastrophe. Things are going very slowly, the pace is very slow, and he believes that it's tragedy and there are many beauties in it, but the characters are good, the lines are good, but it lacks well-structured plot, and that is one of the basic faults in this drama. He says that Milton, he excels in dramatic writing. He does not excel in dramatic writing because he does not understand human nature. He does not understand life as it should have been, which only experience would grant you. The experience would grant you the knowledge that books can't, and Milton has learned life through books. So he is not that well-versed in human life, and that is why he is not a good drama writer. उसकी diction पे भी उसने बहुत ज़्यादा comment किया है, and he has said that his diction is it's different, it's out of ordinary, and it's quite foreign. And he has given you many comments by different writers about Milton's diction, and they have said that it looks as if he's writing in some foreign language. But because of the greatness of the poetry, we forgive him this oddness, and we admire the poetry. However, in his prose, this oddness of his language is not ignored and is always criticized. अच्छा, फिर उसके बाद उसने मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स को क्रिटिसाइज किया है और बहुत ज़्यादा किया है, और उसने कहा है कि मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स जो थे बेसिकली दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट एन आइडिया दैट वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट समथिंग दैट हैज़ नेवर बीन सेड बिफोर, एंड फॉर दैट पर्पज दे ransacked every field of life, and they wanted to create images, discordia concora. The different images, different combinations that have no connection with each other, they were brought together. They are considered as wits and not as poets. Samuel Johnson says that they brought together such strange ideas together that you can't expect them to have this pleasurable effect on the reader. The reader likes to solve the riddle, but he's not pleased by solving that riddle. He believes that these people, they are not poets, but they write verses. Because उनके meter, उनका rhyme scheme इतना odd है कि you have to count the syllables to make sure that it is written in poetry, and the subject matter is not interesting as well. It does not have the desired effect. जैसे उसने Aristotle को भी quote किया कि if Aristotle says that poetry is an imitative art, so these people, they were imitative nothing, because their purpose was not to imitate, their purpose was to say something that has never been said before. So they continue to write in this vein. He believes that sometimes it so happens that the images that they have created, they rang true as well. Sometimes whatever they have written, it made sense as well. So whatever the exaggerated image may be, it had the carriage with it as well. It could be supported by the things that they said. So that's about all from Samuel Johnson. We're going to have one lecture again, in which we're going to revise whatever Samuel Johnson had to say about Milton and Cowley. Thank you.